I'm Aziz from Karnataka. Okay, so I hope you all are able to hear me. Just confirm me in the chat box. Okay.
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Audible. Okay, fine. So today, say, our host has told me that he has told only regarding the civil academic qualification. But when I'm taking a safety training, so let me inform you that I have done my NEBOSH and OSHA. NEBOSH and OSHA, and you being in safety field, you might be knowing what is NEBOSH and what is OSHA. Okay, in this training field, I'm there for almost around 15 years. So let's start with this construction safety. Okay, today I'll be taking around 6 topics with respect to construction safety, and 5 topics for means this is commonly available for construction as well as industries also. Everything is almost commonly available. So I'll be taking with the mechanical equipment, construction safety in construction, crane safety in construction and crane safety in industries. Almost both are similar, only with respect to cranes, there's a bit of difference. Work permit is applicable for both the industries, scaffold safety also is there, and working at height. Okay, so not wasting much time, let's start with the main topic. Okay, now when we go with the mechanical safety or mechanical equipments, what we say, I've chosen around 6 topics over here, which are commonly used in construction as well as industries. Okay. So normally what we use is a compressor. We use compressor in the industries for a number of activities. In the industry, we use compressed tools, air pressure, pneumatic tools where we use, and we need to have a compressors also. Okay. So compressors normally, in general, if we say, compressors are of 2 types. One is a IC engine type and one is of a electrically operated type. Both are having different purposes. For IC engine, you know that diesel is required. It can be used anywhere. But the only problem with the IC engine is that it produces smoke. The outlet of that exhaust should be outside the particular compartment or particular place. And second part, it is electrical. We can use it in any place. But in compressors, apart from these 2, there's one more compressor which is used for filling up of our air cylinder, oxygen cylinders for medical purposes. Those compressors, they are having a different type of safety precautions. They'll be having additional filters like air filter, water filter, dust filter, oil filters, because the air what it is being used over there is meant for the human being. So all the contaminants are to be removed from there. Okay. So next part, regarding the dumpers, if you see. Dumpers we have seen in many places. Dumpers we use for normally in a construction field. Here are the dumpers what we use in the construction field. These are normal, in normal way we call it as a tippers also. Here the main important aspect over here, the safety aspect, is that overturning might be there, collision might be there, especially in the slopes and all, there are chances that it may overturn. And we have some safety devices into that with respect to overloading, etc., that they have to be kept properly. And loading, normally what we do, we normally overload it. Okay. For using these dumpers of different types, there are different types of safety precautions, especially the rear part, the skip which is there. If the dumper or a tipper is very long, when it is being lifted, the safety precaution what we are supposed to check is the overhead wires, overhead cables. Overhead cables normally, if it is there, then there are chances that it may be electrocuted. So we have to see. And apart from the safety precautions, there are normal reversing alarm is there, flash beacon is there. Okay, and brakes normally they have to be tested, and the drivers have to be trained properly. One more thing, what we'll be saying here, with apart from compressor, normally forklifts we are using in the industries. Maximum places we use it in industries. They are to be used because one thing what we have seen in the forklift, they are battery operated, especially when they are being used inside the industry. And if any vehicle, if it is a battery operated, there is no sound. It is very silent. So here, many accidents are likely to happen, especially at blind corners in the industry where the materials are kept up. So normally what happens in case if the person is using a ear defender or a ear plug, and he'll not be able to hear the sound as it is, it will not be here, sound will not be there. So chances are there that accidents are likely to happen. So in this case, the drivers, the forklift drivers, they are to be trained how to drive the vehicle inside the industrial area. They have to operate at a safe speed. Okay. Apart from that, the use of the forks, how it has to be used, and what is the load we are supposed to use, that we have to check it out. Because sometimes what happens, there are many accidents with respect to this forklift. Number one, if the load what is being used with the forks, if it is more than the required level weightage, okay, there are chances that it may trip off. And especially during the turnings, corners, there are chances that it may trip off to the left or right side while turning. Okay, because the wheels are small, the load is over there. There are 101 chances that during turning, if there is a sharp turn, if the driver takes a sharp turn, it is likely to topple because of the speed or because of the curvings. Apart from that, the main thing, when in case if it is being operated on a slope or ramps, it has to be operated in the reverse order. The reason being, if it is going in the forward direction, there are chances that the load which is there on the fork, it is likely to slip off. And loose items are not to be carried on the forks because there are chances that it may fall. It has to be tied properly. The items should be tied properly, and then only it has to be used. But main thing is that the driver has to be trained properly how to use the fork lift. Then with respect to generators, what we have seen, this is also a main important item in industries as well as in the construction. Earlier generators were with the open generators were there and there was a lot of sound, etc. But nowadays we are having acoustic containers where here in figure you can see it is acoustic container, and the generator normally we use it for the supply of a power supply. So whenever we are using a generator, the exhaust has to be directed in a proper way. Normally it is outside the container or a acoustic container. And here there are few things which are to be observed. What happens normally while refueling the generator or a diesel, or while doing a servicing of the generator, there are chances that the fuel will spill out, and it may spill out throughout the container, and that becomes a very good chance for a fire hazard. So we have to check it out that in case if there is a spillage of the fuel or oil, lubricating oil, which what we use it for servicing, etc., we have to clear it off. Okay, and in case if there is a, normally it is used in outside, and the sound effect also will not be there. Earlier it was there, sound effect was there, but nowadays there are in some places where open generators are there, but they are kept in a shade or in a room, and the sound effect what it is there, we have to check it out. In case if you are going towards that, when the generator is operating, if it is open.
Yes, sir, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
You can speak much louder actually. Some participants are not able to hear you, I think.
Okay,
But
okay.
your voice is coming clearly, but I think some participants are not hearing.
Fine, no problem, no issue, no issue. Okay, okay, sir. So in that case, in case the rain, etc., is there, in such a case, we need not to operate it in rain and all. Rain or snowfall, normally in India, we don't have a snowfall, except in few areas in the northern India. Okay, but with respect to rain, it is there always. But nowadays, at present condition, we are getting the generators of caustic containers. But in the previous, if there are generators of the previous type without caustic containers, normally they are kept into shade or into the rooms. So we need to take care of that, especially when the sound is there. Then next part is what we have is a mechanical hazards. What are different types of mechanical hazards with respect to different types of equipments? Okay. Whenever we are having a mechanical equipment, there are chances that we may come across some mechanical hazards. So in such case, normally the hazards are of a different types. You can see in the slide it is given. The rotating shaft hazard, pulleys are there, sprockets are there, gear entanglement is there. Hard surfaces, moving together or crushing, scissor or shear action severing. Then sharp edges are there, moving or stationary or cutting, puncturing. Cable or hose connection, slip, trips, and falls. These are the different types of hazard normally what we come across with respect to mechanical hazards. Depending on the type of machinery or equipment, these hazards are applicable. So whenever we are doing this, whenever we are working on these things, we need to have a safe access. To have a safe access, there are certain corrective measures or preventive measures what we have to take care. Number one, we have to try to, at least first and foremost, we should try to eliminate it. In case if we are able to eliminate it, that is well and good. Normally, the elimination takes place when we are at a initial stage or what do you say that engineering stage itself. Okay. Second is administrative control. What type of measurements we are, safety precautions we are supposed to take, that we can take. Engineering administrative control, engineering controls, in case if it is required, we can have different types of substitutes or different types of other measures we can take it out. Okay. Then last one, which is not the least, the PPEs. Normally what we do is the PPE is the last line of protection that we can take it. That is one of the protective or preventive measures we can take. Now, when we say the risk control for the mechanical hazards, these are the three normally points what we need to check it out. One is the distance, second one is the barrier, and third one is your time. So these three things. Distance means we have to keep a person without coming in contact with the hazard. He can operate from a distance. A barrier can be put in between where the person is not able to reach the hazard or a control of the ejection parts, etc. And time, that time is normally what happens. The moment it is connected with the sensors, the moment the person comes in near to that particular place, the machine stops. It will become disable. So when we say regarding the barrier, normally the guarding we are using, a guard, which is normally with respect to our Factories Act also, Section 21, it is given fencing of machinery. Okay, the guarding can be of any type. It can be fully covered or half covered or quarter covered. But only thing is that the body will not come in contact with that particular hazard. Okay. Second one is the interlocking. Interlocking can be a mechanical or electrical, hydraulic or pneumatic. It may be there, hydraulical or pneumatic, but electrical or mechanical can be there. The moment, in case if you want to start the machining, interlocking facility will be provided. Until unless you don't lock it or cover it, it will not start. Suppose in case if you start it also, it will give you an indication that yes, the door is open or something like that, it will be given. And whereas the presence of sensing system, PSS system, that is with respect to our sensors, what can be used. Here also it can be used the moment the persons enter that particular area, then the mechanism is likely to stop it off. And next part is your control of non-mechanical hazards. So non-mechanical hazard, there are two types. That is, one is ventilation and temperature, where the smoke, etc., is likely to come up. This is a non-mechanical, means it is a hazard produced by a mechanical equipment. Okay, so here the main thing is the ventilation and temperature. With respect to your Factories Act also it is given. So here ventilation and they are both are interrelated. In case if the ventilation is not available, then definitely the temperature also will increase and the dust and fumes also will be present. So when we check it out with the ventilation we are having of two types. One is a mechanical and one is a natural. Okay, natural ventilation, we need not to have any of the equipment. It is a natural ventilation. We can open the doors, windows, etc. Whatever is gas or exhaust or smoke available, it will just go out. But for natural ventilation, we need to have a flow of air. Whereas the mechanical ventilation, we have two types. That is, one is a local and one is a general. Apart from that, we have HVAC also. Here we'll be using two types. One is a general ventilation, where the exhaust fan can be installed and whatever the heat or dust, etc. is there, that is thrown out. And apart from that, there is local exhaust ventilation, where the exhaust, wherever the heat is produced or wherever the smoke is produced or dust is produced, from that particular area only, it will be sucked and it will be thrown out. But if you go as per this also, local ventilation, we need to have some collecting point at the exhaust end. That is very important, because we cannot just throw the contaminants from our inside the factory to the open air. We need to collect it at the exhaust level or the end level, because if you are doing that, in another case, it will be a environmental hazard. We are not supposed to throw it in the environment just like that. Okay, that is one thing. Second one is the noise. When we hear about the noise or the other type of radiations like UV radiation, ultra, beta, gamma rays, okay, and X-rays also. And whenever there is our welding and all, we have infrared rays or ultraviolet rays. This light also is there, rays also. These are not visible. Rays are not visible. They become a radiation hazards. And noise also is a radiation hazard if we take it that way. So we are supposed to protect these hazards also. So these are normally known as a noise also is a radiation hazard, and other type of radiations also take place. And they normally follow the principle of inverse square law. So here we need to check it out two things, that how it has to be controlled. So controlling is that of three types. Normally it can be guarded or it can be covered at the source, or the distance might be increased so that the more the distance, the less will be the effect. And third part, at the receiver end, he can take care of his own. So normally it is at the source, at the path, and at the receiving end. In these three places, we can control the radiation hazards. Now I'm talking about radiation because noise also is a radiation hazard. Other types of rays also are radiation hazards, like X-ray rays, alpha, beta, gamma rays, ultraviolet rays, infrared rays. Because with this also we get affected sometimes. Because if you see mechanical hazards, whenever we are welding, we see that there's a very bright light that we have to protect. Because with the light and with the smoke which is produced by welding, okay, the smoke which is there, it is having a nitrous oxide, so which gives a effect on the eyes. You might have seen, even though if you are not welding, if the smoke of the welding part, if it crosses your eyes, the effect of that will be, you will be having a lot of itching in your eyes after about 4 to 5 hours, not immediately. So, and apart from that, we are having, especially for welding, we are having an arc sight. That is that the eyes will become very red because of the ultraviolet radiation or infrared radiation which is piercing our eyes. We are supposed to take the necessary precautions for this with respect to your glass, shaded glass, okay, which are of a different grade. Then next part we will be coming with our crane safety. Cranes are of different types of industries also, as well as construction fighters. So what is a crane normally? It is a lifting machine. Lifting means it lifts vertically. You are not supposed to use the crane for the horizontal pulling, etc. So for basic principles of the crane, what we need to have. Number one, the crane, whenever it is installed, it has to have a center of gravity. It should not have a imbalanced gravity. It has to have a center of gravity. Because if center of gravity is not there, there are chances that the crane is likely to trip off. Second one, leverage. Yes, for leverage, the principle what we normally see is that a safe working load. The capacity, what is the capacity it is there. So accordingly, we have to lift it. What is safe working load? We'll check it out later on. Then stability of the crane is very, very important. See, if the crane is not stable, that is likely to topple off that crane. And for stability, we have to check it out with respect to your foundation. Foundation means where the crane is standing, where it is situated. When we say foundation, it's not only with the crane, it has to be the ground level also. The sound solid ground. In case if there is a disturbed sand, especially in the construction, there's a lot of disturbed soil available, because many a times it so happens that we go for a trench excavation, etc. In that case, we just fill up the ditch or the excavated area, and we don't compact it. In such case, in case if you are using a crane, there are chances that the crane will not be stable, no matter how much it is, because when the force is applied on such a disturbed soil, there are chances that it may topple up. Next part, main important, is the structural integrity. The crane structure has to be strong enough to take the load for what it is meant for or intended for. It should be strong enough. So that we have to check. What about, sorry, especially when we are working around the coastal areas. In coastal areas, there's a lot of humidity and there's a lot of salt content into the air. So in such places, most of you might be knowing that the metal part gets corroded very fast because of the salt content in the atmosphere. So here, the rusting takes place inside the particular metal part, especially iron. The ferrous oxide gets converted. Okay, it gets rusted. So when material gets rusted, it loses its strength. So especially in the coastal areas, we are supposed to check out with the crane structural integrity. It has to be sound and strong enough. Okay. So normally types of cranes what we are using in construction is a tower crane. A tower crane, I'll check it, I'll show you. Then a wheel mounted crane and a telescopic crane. Here in the figure you can see we have different types of cranes. And when we say about wheel mounted or telescopic, in such type, there are two types. One is of a wheel mounted and one is of a chain type also. Instead of wheel, there will be a chain also, which will be there. Now, when we go with the industries overhead crane, we have overhead crane, bridge crane, and all. But the principle here, it is there with the same. We need to check it out with the safe working load. Here also you can see in the third figure, it is mentioned 12.5 ton. So it is capacity, we have to check it out. But whereas the capacity is that is a different part. But when we go with the lifting part, we need to check it out with the slings, etc. So, here you can see the setting up of the cranes. See, first part, this is especially for your construction part, construction cranes. Okay, so here we can see the first figure to the left. No wheels are carrying the load, means the wheels, they are carrying the load, it's not on the jacks fully. Second one, it is not, the floor level is not equal, it should be fully extended. The jacks also, jack is also known as outriggers, one is extended and one is not extended. And third one is correct, where the weight of the material, whatever you are lifting and the crane, the load and the crane, it will be on the jacks, not on the wheels. Actually, we are not supposed to lift the material on the wheels. In case if you have to move the load, it should be at least 50% less than the maximum working load of that crane, in case if you are moving it from one place to another place on the ground. So they are having different criteria for that. The ground level should be correct. The crane should travel at a walking speed. There has to be a beacon which will be keep on flashing, and the rigger, he'll be walking in front of the crane. And before going for all this, you have to check it out, all the area from the place or the route of the crane from where to where it is going. There should not be any disturbed soil in between, no trench covered up, etc. So the crane should be able to go comfortably, and there should be a room for a crane in case if for any reason it had to reverse and come back, it should be able to do it. Okay, this is normally when we are going from one place to another place for the crane. Now here we are having different types of this one working load. You can see it is given in the bottom one, that is 15 ton safe working load. And there are two things. One is safe working load and working load limit. And whenever you are extending the outriggers, you can see the crane outrigger pairs which are used and which must be used whenever you are using a crane. And crane markings are there, especially with the 15 ton safe working load. There are two things. One is safe working load and one is your working load limit. Now there's a confusion normally. What is what the thing? Many persons say that it is whether it is same. Both are not same. Safe working load is given by the manufacturer, and a working load limit is given by the person who is in charge at that particular place. The reason for this, the reason I'll tell you with a simple example. Say if you purchase a new motorcycle, the manufacturer will give you around 80 kilometers per liter. The consumption, the mileage. He will tell you, yes, my vehicle will run for 80 kilometers per liter. But the person who is driving and the route in which he is going, if there is a lot of the driving is not proper, so in that case, what will happen? It may not give 80, it will give you only 60 or 65. That means the difference between 15 to 20 kilometers difference. That is actually the working load limit or running load limit. The difference why it is, see, when the crane is being operated at a construction site, the person who is in charge over there, he has to take care of so many things. It may be a weather condition, it may be a soil condition. Okay, the soil may not be proper, the weather may not be proper. Okay, there may be a rain. So in such cases, because of rain, the soil is wet. So in such cases, the person who is checking it out, he will tell, no, we will not be using the maximum 15 ton or 16 ton, whatever the capacity is there. We will be using only 50% in such conditions. So this is the weight, what is the working load limit depending on the site condition. That is decided by the in charge. So here, this is with respect to your tower crane. I'll tell you something with it. These tower cranes we are normally using in the construction sites, which can be installed right from the starting of the building till the end, and it keeps on increasing. The height, it depends on what height we require. So it's not necessary that it has to be only for 10 feet, 10 story or 20 story. According to the building plan, the foundation is to be installed, and it takes a lot of work to create a foundation. It is also fully of your concrete construction will be there, and according to till what height it has to go and what weight it has to take, accordingly the foundation is made, and on that it is erected. It is not constructed, it is erected. The tower crane is erected, and in between, in case if you want, we can erect, we can install the tower sections also, so that the height can be increased, and depending on the height, and later on it can be dismantled. Okay, so these are the things normally we use the tower cranes, But one thing, in case if there are two or more tower cranes, we need to check it out that the booms don't clash with each other. There has to be some distance, and the person who is operating on this, he needs to have a proper training, because he will be at a height, and the working and the movement of the load, etc., has to be checked out. In such case, there are some conditions where the load cannot be lifted in some bad weather conditions. If there is a bad weather condition, rain, snowfall is there, or in case if there is a heavy wind like storm, etc., so these cranes cannot be utilized. And for all the cranes, the lifting equipment, it has to be tested every 3 months normally by the third parties. But the driver, who is the person, crane operator, he need to have two types of licenses. One is a crane operating license, then another one is your heavy duty driving license. Okay, these two, and once he is there, he should be medically and physically fit. That the medical certificate has to be provided by the operator in this case. Okay, and a signaler also must be issued with the competency certificate, because in case of signals, etc., crane signals, a person need to know what are the crane signals. Both crane operator as well as signaler or slinger, or in some cases it is also known as a rigger, they are to be having a clear-cut information regarding the hand signals or crane signal. The crane signal, normally why we use it, that is in case of a walkie-talkie, or in case of just oral confirmation, the person may not be able to actually understand what is the signal is being given or what it is being communicated. That is why the hand signals are being used. But at some times, when it is regarding the this one, tower cranes, when it is at a very height, there may be a walkie-talkie instructions also along with the signals or hand signals. In case if it is a hand signals, the operator as well as signals should be trained. And when we say regarding this load factor, here is a chart which is there. This chart, as per this chart, the angle depends how much load we can take it. Depends on that, the angle we have to choose, and we have to lift the material. But there are so many things we have to check it out. This now in this case, with the figure which it is given, the angle is at 60 degrees depending on the load factor. But in case some places we use a spread bar also. When we use a spread bar, the angle will be at 90 degrees. Okay, there it depends what type of angle we are supposed to use. Normally we use a 90 degrees, but there it is the hooks and all, they will be using of a different type. That will be of a what do you say, that two-way hooks, 2 legs or 3 legs or 4 legs. Normally that also will be using, or only 2 legs also will be using, depending on the construction or the size and the figure of the load. Okay. Here it is given regarding the safe working load, which I have explained to you. Okay, just a minute. And working load limit, it is normally braking load also we say. It depends on what type of where we are using. Depend on that, we can go ahead with it. What I explained in the working load limit, that is given over here. Now, when we go with the slings, there are 3 types of slings. 3 types of sling is normally of a nylon sling and a wire rope sling and chain sling. When it is a nylon sling, we need to check it out with respect to where we are using it. Normally, we cannot use beyond the temperature, that is 90 degrees, because nylon on hot surfaces we are not supposed to use it. And for the normally nylon slings are used for those things where, especially in industries, where we are using or we are likely to ship your finished goods, because there are chances that in case of if I'm wearing using a chain or a wire rope sling or chain sling, in that case there are chances that we can have some stresses or scratches on the finished goods. In such cases, we are using nylon slings. chain slings or wire rope slings. These are different types with the 3-leg, 4-leg or simple, depending on the what type of your rope you are using it. Hello? Anything? Hello? Anyway, so wire rope slings, we have some 2-leg, 3 legs also, or 4 legs also, depending where we have to use, depending on that we are using it. But when you're using wire leg sling, we need to check it out, the angle what we are using and the safe working load. It will be mentioned on that, the safe working load. Okay, same thing with respect to your chain also. There are some thing what we need to check it out, and that is different types of wire in a wire rope, the sling markings. On this, each and every slings, there will be a marking or there will be a stating that what is the working load limit, safe working load. So at times, if these markings are not there, here you can see in this figure, we have a 3 ton, 3.5 ton, yeah, this one, sorry. Safe working load it is given at different places, such tags or such impressed means it will be intent will be there, which will be mentioned on that what is the safe working. In case if it is not there, we are not supposed to use this, because if there is a doubt, definitely we need to stop it. And when we go for the nylon slings, here we can see to identify, we have strips in between, the black strips. If there is one strip, it is known as a for 1 ton. If there are 2 strips, there it is known as a 2-ton capacity. If there are 3 strips, it is meant for the 3-ton capacity. If it is 4 strips, it can be of a 4-ton capacity. Number of strips normally it is in a black so that it is easily identified. Okay. Inspection normally for each and everything, there are 3 types of inspection: initial, frequent, and periodic. Normally, if you say the periodic inspection, it will be at a particular period of time when the equipment is or the material is not being utilized or used. Frequent inspection, whenever the person is handling the particular sling, you need to check it out. And initial, whenever you are, if it is a new one or whenever you are starting the job. The best is to use the sling. Before using the sling, it is better to have an inspection and before and after the work. Now, when we say we have to inspection, what we are not supposed to check it out. See, here are the few of the defects which are available, which are being shown here. In web slings, there should not be a tone. Here, right side, you can see in web sling, there should not be any wear and tear of the nylon part or threads, etc. In case if it is being used in the hot surface, there may be a chances that it might have burned off or the the threads, etc. have come on. Then if you see in the bird caging, this normally in the center too, you can see the right side, it is a bird caging. The bird caging normally it is regarding the pull of the strands of the wire rope. It should not have. And left side we can see kinking. Kinking normally it is not used. This happens only when there is a force on the particular wire rope so that it gets bent. But in such case, what we need to see that if there is a kinking or any bird caging or left side, if the strands are broken, best thing is that we need to change it, not repair it. And there are sometimes when the wire ropes, etc., they are subjected to any acid contents, chemicals, etc. There also there are chances that it may become weak. And there are chances that in case of a chain also, in chain also, we need to check it out with respect to kinking or cracks on the links. Normally what happens by constant using, continuously when you are using the chain, there are chances that the length of the chain enlarges, it becomes loose. When it is enlarges, normally the places where the joint is there, whenever the links are connected to each other, wear and tear will be there. That wear and tear will definitely increase the length of the sling. It is same as you can know, in case if you are having a two-wheeler, if you are putting chain and sprocket newly, so in the course of time you'll find that the chain has become loose, and again you tighten it up again, after some days it will get loosened. Because of a wear and tear at the chain and sprocket, the links of the chain and the sprocket edges. That means wear and tear, when it increases, the strength of the material also decreases. So in such case, in case if the length is more, if it is crossing more than 10%, it has increased the length of more than 10% of the chain, we are supposed to replace it, not repair it. We cannot use it for even the lesser weight also. Apart from that, the links, wherever the welding is being done, wherever the links are connected at the barrel section, in such case, if there is a crack, etc., the splices is there, we are supposed to replace the links. These different shackles we are using, bow type and D type, this type of shackles. Sometimes what happens here, the center part gets damaged, or center part, the bolt type, what it is there, this gets damaged. And what we normally use is the nickel, then we'll put some bolt or etc. That is not accepted. We have to use, because if in case if I'm using here also it will be mentioned for how much weight it is applicable. So in such case, so this all full structure, full product is of that particular weight factor. So we have to replace the whole thing, not a part by part. We cannot use a normal bolt so that चल जाएगा बोल के हम लोग normal कर देंगे. So in such case, it will not be correct. It may lead to an accident. So whenever we are using a crane, the overall boom part, it has to be at least 1.5 times from the center of the crane, the swing part. And we have to barricade the total area 1.5 times. We have to barricade. So whenever we are rigging, we need to check out some safety measures. See, we have seen what is this, what we have, how we have to do. But the main part comes when we are rigging. So whenever we are rigging, here are some load indicators. That is, overload indicator is there. Load moment indicator is there. It is also known as a LMI. We have safety catches, emergency escapes, etc. So load moment indicator or overload indicator. Normally what happens in some, it has been observed that in some construction fields, these things, more LMI, that is load moment indicator or overload indicator, they are bypassed. So if they are bypassed, you will not get the indication. And when you don't get the indication, there are chances that accidents are likely to happen. So safety catches, if it is there, anything, safety methods, safety equipments are there, means in case of these, both are of the safety indicators only. In such case, accidents are likely to happen. And escape, emergency escape, it is there. Emergency escape happens normally in two types. Whenever there is an accident or toppling is there, or in case if the crane comes in contact with the electrical wire, the method for escaping is over there. ROPS, as I told you, fourth part in the starting regarding the crane, that is structural integrity. Okay. ROPS regarding that only, rollover protection of the structure. Rollover, RO means rollover of protection of the structure. That has to be there. These are the safety measures. Structural integrity has to be there. But whenever we are going for a rigging, we need to do some checks accordingly. Okay, one is the wind speed we are supposed to check, the temperature of the area, and the surfaces, in case if the water surface is there, rain is there. Nowadays in South India, there's a lot of rain, etc. Construction part, in case if it is there, the soil will be wet. In case if you are going with the, even in spite of that, if you are putting the outrigger properly with the pads, etc., even then there are chances that the pads or the outrigger may sunk into the soil. And if there is any unstable object, that also we have to check it out. And with respect to equipment, we need to check out of the equipment, correct identification with the proper inspection. That is very important. Because what happens in case if it is equipment is not good, we'll tell for a simple reason. For small little mistakes, there are chances that accidents are likely to happen. We should be 110% sure that yes, everything is okay. Now, when we respect to working load, the weight of the load and the weight of the equipment, that is whether both are matching or not. Normally, what happens if the load, whatever the SW is there, safe working load is there, we are supposed to take as a precaution measure only 85% of the SWL, 85% of the load. Okay, and even the lifting of the equipment or lifting of the load and all, we have a lot of things over there. Center of gravity is very much important, because if center of gravity, if you lose the center of gravity, a person is likely to topple, including the machinery. And the sling angle is required because the effect of the load on that particular sling varies, and the capacity of the gear or the whether the safe working load is proper or not. Okay, so these are the things what we need to, even while lifting the equipment, we are supposed to lift it in a proper way. We should not give a jerk. If we give a jerk, there are chances that the wire, rope wire, or the crane, this chain sling is likely to get damaged. Okay, and especially the hand signals. These are the different types of hand signals we are supposed to know. Any rigger, or as well as the operator, he is supposed to know the hand signals. Okay, without the hand signals, you are not supposed to ask them to, without knowing the hand signal, you are not supposed to ask them to do the work, because if they misunderstand the hand signals, then there are chances that accidents are likely to take place. Okay, whenever, because hand signal will give a person the indication what he has to do. But when using these hand signals, there has to be a clear view between the operator as well as the signaler. That is very, very important. Clear view. And there are chances that a clear view, if it is not possible, then a third person can be utilized. For giving a proper signal. A competent person should be utilized for giving a correct signal to the operator, that is a crane operator. Okay, if the direct eye contact is not possible, then only, or else only two persons, one the rigger and one is the operator. In such case, the operator and the third person can give the signals in case of emergency. Okay, but one thing you have to make sure that signals are to be given with only one hand, not two hands, because if you give signals with the two hands, there is a confusion likely to develop, then the operator will not be able to understand. And in such case, no matter who the signaler is there, whether it is a single person or two person, if any third person or any unknown person, if he asks to stop, the movement, the operator has to stop the movement, because there may be a dangerous conditions which is likely to happen and which is not being visible to the signaler, operator, or in case if we are using third person, through third person. See, for lifting and for movement, you have to take the instructions only from the signaler, or in case if, okay. But for stopping, he can take the instructions from anybody, because he has been told to stop the movement, which means that there may be some dangerous conditions. Okay, this is the case. So these are the hand signals, conditions, terms and conditions normally. And whenever we use the crane, after use, what we are supposed to? We have to park the crane in a particular place where it has been approved, lower the load or the bucket, etc., or the hook to be kept inside, disconnect the slings, load slings, etc. And your control position should be in off position. Visually check for any dangerous conditions surrounding. Okay, and the crane personnel, he should be normally, when we are using a crane personnel, he should be of a, normally we get a license after 18 years only, but even then he has to have a double licenses. One is for heavy operating and one is for the crane operating. And apart from that, he should have a good hearing, medically he should be fit. Okay. Medically, when we say medically fit, he should be physically fit also. He should not have any type of a body. He should have a proper body movement. He should not have any pain or etc. in the body movement where his movements are restricted because of some problem. The health aspect, he should be very good. He should not have any type of known disease like a fits, etc. Okay. Hearing loss should not be there. Eyesight should be very good. And he should be qualified for lifting the equipment or operating the crane. Now, when we say this one, the main general condition, what we are supposed to check it out. For going into the crane, etc., we need to have proper ladders and barricades, etc. That's also known as your guardrails, etc. And when we are using the drum, chain, pulley, sheaves, etc., we need to see that the this one, what do you say that? The rope and the sheave. The right side I've given you the sheave and the rope. The third figure, sheave and groove, with the correct clearance, it has to be there. First two, it indicates that either here it is more and the other one is less. In both the things, there are chances that if groove is more, the rope will go off, and if rope is more, the groove will go off. The diameter of the rope and the diameter of the sheave, the groove sheave, it has to be correct. It should not be, there should not be any difference. In such case, there are chances that the crane, there may be a slip of the rope or maybe a problem while operating in a proper way. So here, acceptable condition, when we see the appropriate type has to be there. Okay, the condition of the vehicle should be correct, proper inspection, identification, etc. has to be done over there. Then rigging, we have to see, as I told you, the wind, surface temperature, water, etc. We have to check it out. Now, when we are working, load limits, etc., so we need to know the following clearance. We need to have a follow. What is the weight of the load? Whether it is suitable with the crane, the SWL, etc. And where is the center of gravity of the crane, that has to be checked. Which angle we are supposed to wear or use. What is the sling angle we are supposed to use. And will there be a side loading? Normally, side loading is not permitted. If it is there, we need to check it out, and the capacity of the gear. Apart from that, regarding chains, as I told you, chains we are supposed to check. The chain means the slings. Okay, whether it is a wire sling or whether it is a chain sling or whether it is a web sling. We need to check it for chain sling, any cracks or nicks if it is there, worn out links as I explained to you, or if any corrosion is there. In case of wire sling, kinking should not be there, as I showed you the defects, it is there. Distortion or stretching should not be there. Flattening of the diameter, yes, there are chances, because in case if you are using the wire rope and if you are pulling it on the ground, etc., there may be some abrasion, and because of that, the diameter might be gone, and broken of fibers, sheared fibers, and bird caging. These things should not be available. Okay. So whenever I'm lifting, yeah, this is one thing what we need to check it out. The weight of the load. We need to know the shape and substance of the load is important. What is the shape of the load and what is the substance inside that particular load? Because if it is a liquid form or if it is a cylindrical form, then we need to have a proper rigging. The maintenance of the sling and gear, we need to check it out. The communication system, whether it is working correctly or not. In case if it is we are using the your walkie-talkie, the working radius, it has to be marked, and as well as the weather condition. Okay. Next chapter, what we'll be taking it out with the work permit. Now, what is a work permit? See, work permit is instructions given to a particular person to do a particular work, okay, at a particular period or specified work at a particular location, etc. But what happens normally when we give a work permit, when we say, it should not be oral. Normally, oral work permits are not accepted. It has to be a written work permit for a particular work, a specific work location, etc., for a period of time. Okay, and these are for use for controlling and coordinating the work to establish and maintain safe working system. And work permit is also known as a SSW, safe system of work. Okay, safe system of working, because without work permit, we are not supposed to do a work practically with respect to safety aspect I'm talking about. Okay, so in case if we are giving a work permit, there are different types of work permit, but we are giving it in a written. The reason for written here, I have mentioned it there, that it may be a verbal instructions can be a misinterpreted, means you may not understand or we may forget, which may lead to an accident. Especially in construction part, the work permit is required. And here it so happen that suppose the work permit is given by the scaffold, the concerned person, authorized person, whoever is the senior most person, he will be giving the work permit. Even in industries, we are supposed to use it. But in Indian industry, we have seen that maximum places we don't have a work permit. We have a work order. Okay, you do this thing. Okay, these are the things we are supposed to do in industries. Okay, but we don't have a work permit normally. I've seen many industries where work permit procedure is not being followed. Work permit is for the safe working condition, to work safely, whereas a work order is to do a particular work. But how to do that particular work, in what safe manners we are supposed to use, what are the different equipments we have to check, etc., that is for the work permit. So what happens, especially in construction, the person, if he gives a oral order, normally it is given to the supervisor. Supervisor passes on to the individual workers, and sometimes they understand it, sometimes they don't understand it. Or the person who is understanding, he may be understanding in a different way. There may be a communication gap, etc. So to avoid all these things and to have a safe work conditions, we provide a written work permit. When if it is a written work permit, if it is given, what will happen? The individual will know. In case if he is missing something, he can check it out with the work permit and do the needful. Okay. So why this is the reason what we use normally, the work permit. So work permit, we are having different types. That is one is a hot work permit, cold work permit, and work permit in the confined space, work permit at a height, electrical isolation, etc. Excavation permit. Okay. So when we say hot work permit, when the hot work permit is given, hot work permit normally it is given to any place where hot work is being done. Hot work means any place or any work where the heat is being developed. Heat is being developed no matter by what type of work you are doing. If heat is being developed, either it is by chipping or grinding or welding or cutting, riveting, or even by use of some chemical, what you say, the mixing. There are some things, some places where when we use different types of chemicals, the heat is produced. Okay, so different types of this one works where heat is being produced. In such cases, a hot work permit is normally given. Whereas in construction site, hot work permit is given maximum for 12 hours or 24 hours. Then after that, it has to be renewed. It will not be a blanket type. You can use it once it is given, it will just keep on continuing. That is not the case, especially in construction site. Okay, so wherever the heat is being produced, a hot work permit is given. Where hot work is not there, but the work conditions are hazardous, where there are chances that work condition is hazardous, and in that case, there may be a chance of accident, etc. Okay, in such case, we are giving the normally cold work permit. In cold work permit also, we need to check it out whether it is a hazardous nature or not. So work permit, that is a cold work permit. But when we say with respect to confined space entry permit, confined space is a place where an individual is not able to work for a longer period. There may be some contaminants of different types of gases, whether it is a toxic gas or a suffocation gas asphyxiating, or even in open areas, if the depth of the excavation is more than 4.5 feet, we need to use a confined space, because there are chances that if the depth is more than 4.5 feet or 5 feet, there are chances that toxic gas, etc., heavier than air might be settled over there. Okay, so in such cases, we need to check it out with the confined space entry. Okay. In such case, confined space entry, in that case, we need to check it out hazardous conditions of that particular place with the help of a chemist. We need to check out the conditions of that particular atmosphere inside the confined space. In such cases, what we do is the gas inspection, gas testing is being done at the lower level, middle level, and top level. And if it is there only near the entrance, that is not sufficient. It depends on the type of work what we are doing. If the type of work is different type, we have to go into a sewer, we have to go into a cylinder, big cylinder. In case if we have to go into a silo, in that case, the work depending on the type of the gas condition, the gas testing has to be done as per the instruction is given in the work permit. And whenever we are going with the confined space permit or work in the confined space, we have two types of work permit. One is of a entry permit, the other one is of a work permit. Work permit means type of work what we are doing. So work permit can be of a hot work permit also, or it can be of a your cold work permit also. Okay. So these both the types of work permits are normally used for a confined space permit. And here also, in case if you are going into a confined space, now there may be a chance that it can be a work at a height also. So when we say about a work at a height, so any work which is being conducted 2 meters and above, it is known as a working at a height. Okay, 2 meters and above, it is known as a working at a height. So we need to follow the fall protection regulations or fall protection conditions. Okay, whatever it is, the fall protection, we'll see it in a later stage. We have a working at height. In that, we'll say what are the fall protection we are supposed to take. Okay, so here working at height 2 meters and above. And in that case also, when we are working at a height of 2 meters and above, we have specific things that we need to have a guardrail system. We need to have a scaffolding, etc. over there. Okay, what type of work you are working? There should be a safety harness, full body protection we are supposed to use. Okay, and it has to be connected to a solid structure so that a person need not to fall. Or if his case if is there, he is supposed to wear a safety harness as well as your fall arrestor, etc. Okay. Now, when we talk about electrical isolation and energization permit, here also we need to have a work permit for electrical isolation. So when we have this electrical isolation, so there is a lot of side work, supporting documents we need to have whenever we are going for any type of isolation of the energy. Now, when we say isolation of energy, it need not be only the electrical isolation. It can be a pneumatic or it can be a mechanical energy also. Any type of power we are supposed to isolate, we need to have supporting documents. Now, when we say what is a supporting document, we need to inform all those persons who are related to that particular isolation. We need to inform them that yes, we are going to isolate the energy from so and so time to so and so time, and we have to take, and you have to take either alternative method or you have to give us clearance, yes, you have taken necessary precautions. And when they give you necessary precautions, yes, we have taken such and such, then only we can go ahead with the isolation of that particular energy. Sometimes it so happens that if you are unable to isolate, or if you are isolating, there may be a problem, especially in the industries, working industries, that some work may get hampered. So we need to check it out whether we have to isolate, and we have to give well in advance information to all those persons who are going to get affected by that electrical isolation, or in case if you are using some mechanical equipment, or it may be happening because of your work schedule or because of your stand instructions, or it may be for your maintenance, etc., for servicing, etc., or for some repairs, etc. Okay, there may be so many factors where we need to isolate the energy of. So when we have done the isolation of energy, The next part, what we have to, has to be a time constraint, because we cannot keep the energy isolated for a longer period, especially in the industries, because it affects the or hampers the production, etc. So it has to be a time factor. Within that time, we have to restart or reschedule, or in case if you want, we can start the energizing permit. It means we can recharge it. But before recharging also, we need to inform all the persons who are affected that we are going to restart or we are going to charge this electrical equipments or electrical energy, whether it is electrical or pneumatic or hydraulic pressure, whatever it is, whatever type of energy we are being utilized. So in both the conditions, we need to check it out. And here when we talk about HT, means electrical, it is a high and low tension it is there. Normally what we use, it depends on the equipment what we are using. Then with respect to excavation, this is also a permit. Here it depends on the, especially in the construction line. Here also we need to have an excavation permit. But before going for an excavation permit, the individual need to have some detailed information. Now, when we say about the detailed information, we need to check it out. What type of excavation? What is the purpose of excavation? What are the surrounding areas? What is the depth of the excavation? What are the underground pipeline, etc. we are having? Okay, that is known as a underground obstructions in case if you are having. Okay, and what are the equipment what we are using? Whether the area it is of a water type, high water level, etc. And whether the surrounding area is having any your lake, etc., or any blasting, etc., is going on because of the construction. Okay, or in case if there is a heavy traffic, etc. These are so many things what we need to check it out before giving the excavation permit. So whenever we are giving the excavation permit, we need to check it out this one. And apart from that, the contamination which is likely to happen, this one we have to check it out. Contamination, the depth, and especially the type of soil we need to check. There are different types of soil normally in the construction parts. That is known as type A, B, C. I need not to go into that detail for that. So depending on the type of soil, we need to give the work permit. And whenever we are giving work permit, we are supposed to tell the person, whoever is doing an excavation, to check for underground obstructions. Now, when we say underground obstruction, suppose sometimes what happens, we normally nowadays the excavation, etc., now construction is going on outside the city limits. But in case if it is within the city limits, there are chances that underground obstructions like a water pipeline, electrical line or sewage line, there may be a chance that it might be there. So for that, we need to have a there are instruments which will find out, yes, there is some obstruction. It will not tell you what type of obstruction it is there. It will just give you an information. Okay, ultrasound, we have different types of equipments are there. So with that, we'll come to know there is an obstruction. In case if there is an obstruction, we need to do the excavation by hand manually till we get that obstruction. Then later on, we can go ahead with the JCB, etc. for excavation. Sometimes it so happens, I've seen so many places that when the excavation is being done, the JCB, they just dumps the bucket and he pulls out. And there are sometimes that even the electrical cable, especially if it is a live electrical cable, it becomes a lot of problem for the JCB person, especially the water line and telephonic line, etc. They'll be there and they just break off. And it becomes a lot of a problem for the normal public over there. Okay, in case if it is within the city limits, etc. Normally outside the city limits, we find very less, but even then, it is better to have a confirmation that there is no any type of obstructions in them. So before giving the excavation permit, the individual, whoever is authorized, he should check it out with these things. Okay. Then whenever we are giving a work permit, the person who is giving a work permit, how he is supposed to give a work permit? See, suppose I have told you here in confined space entry. So actually what happened, the work permit procedure, we normally ask for the work permit 1 day in advance. When we know that if we have to do a work at a particular place, we ask the permission, or we give a request to the person who is issuing the work permit 1 day in advance, so that the individual who is supposed to give the work permit, he has to inspect the place for which he is giving the work permit. He has to identify the hazards, etc. And then accordingly, he has to give the work permit. He cannot just blindly give the work permit, okay, you take this. That is not the correct method. He has to go to the particular place. Suppose if it's a confined space entry, if he has to get inside the silos, etc., or some places, what he is supposed to see. In case if he is going inside the place, he has to go with the gas testing, see what type of gas it is there, whether there is some toxic gas and all. He has to go with his breathing apparatus, etc. He has to check it out, or he has to tell his chemist, a person who is the authorized person, to check the gas testing and inform, or he give a supporting document to the authorized person. Yes, these are the gases, these are the things, whether it's a flammable gas, toxic gas, asphyxiating, suffocating gas, and what is the level of the air content over there, whether it in the center, bottom, and top. Because what happened, the gases are of different strength. If it is heavier than air, that will be settled at the bottom. It is equivalent to air, it will be in the between. If it is lighter than air, it will be in the top area. And apart from that, if it is only at the nearing the opening, then we may not have a correct picture of the content of the gases. It is just like the same as you see. See, suppose if you have gone to out of station, closing all your windows, etc., doors, windows, etc., the moment you came after, return back after the trip, after about a week, when you open your house door, you'll find a type of smell. After some time, what will happen? At the entrance, you will not find that smell. But as you enter inside, the smell will keep on increasing. Same way may happen inside the confined space also. It has to be taken up very seriously, because if it's a toxic gas, and if the permitter, if he says, oh, okay, no problem, you can just go and have it, you can go and work, nothing will happen. That is not there. And there are conditions that in case if it is required, a person, the supervisor, he has to be trained in the gas testing also, so that in case if required, if the conditions require conditions, if they are required that gas testing has to be done after every 1 hour or 2 hour, depending on the type of work, in such case, he is supposed to do, because he'll be authorized and he'll be trained also. That is the condition, especially in the confined space, we have to check. Okay, so whenever such thing happen, the work permit has to be given. But when work permit is given, it has to be displayed at the place of entrance. Okay, and if it is a confined space, the conditions are different. Okay, so it has to be placed at the place of work. But in some cases, the work permits can be cancelled. Okay, it can become void if the nature of the job for which the work permit is given, it is not as per the nature of the job or mentioned in the work permit. That changes, the conditions are changed over there. It has to be revoked. Second part, if the weather conditions are changed, or due to some weather conditions, you have been asked to evacuate the area. In that case also, the work permit will become void. Again, second time when you are going, you have to reschedule and you have to take a fresh work permit. Or if some emergency conditions develop, whether inside the area, confined area, or whether it is outside the area, okay, and you are asked to evacuate that particular place, in that condition also, we are supposed to cancel that work permit and issue a fresh work permit. And last one, when the work is completed, then only we can return it or surrender the work permit to the concerned person. But before receiving the work permit, the person who has issued it, he has to check the conditions for what it was given. The reason being, the condition which was given, whether it has been fulfilled or not, we have to check it out. The person who has given, he has to check it whether it is confirmed or whether it is given fully. Okay. Next part, we'll be going with the scaffolding, a very important factor, especially in the construction part. Scaffolding is nothing but working at an elevated platform, elevated or height, and it is a temporary work platform. It is okay. Scaffolding is normally of a different varieties, different types of the scaffolding. Okay, so in such case, what we have to check it out is what is the type of scaffolding we are going. Okay. What type of scaffolding we are? See, scaffolding are of different types. So we have seen different types of scaffolding in construction areas. But what it should be? Scaffolding normally has to support three things: men, material, and machineries. Okay, men, material, and machineries. So men, material, and machineries means the men, how many men are working, what is the material we are using on that particular scaffold, and what are the equipments what we are using. The weight factor, especially the scaffolding goes with the weight factor. Weight, how much weight is being used with the help of these three M's. Okay, and as I told, there are different types of scaffoldings. There are single, double, cantilever, etc. Depending on the type of work what we have, and the steel scaffolding is there. So normally what we do, there are normally what it is a type of, but normally the material being used is of a two types. Either it will be tube and coupler, or it can be of a fabricated type. So before using a scaffold, before erection, how you can see. Number one, the sound design. What do you mean by sound design? The material what you are using, it has to be strong enough to take the load. And the selection of the right type of scaffold. What type of scaffold we need? See, whether it is a single, double, mobile, okay. And the person who are working on the scaffolds, they should be trained to work on the scaffold, because scaffolding working, it's a working at a height. A person, in case if he is not trained properly, in that case, there are chances that he may fall down and he may get injured, or sometimes it may be a fatal also. Even climbing up and down of the scaffold is very important. And when you're using a scaffold, when you're working at a height, a fall protection is supposed to be provided or used. Okay. So whenever you are using a scaffold or erecting a scaffold, proper guidelines have to be used, and proper guidelines have to be there for using it also, and for alteration or dismantling in case if it is required. Now, when we say proper erection, same thing is applicable as with the crane. The sound foundation has to be there. The foundation, the soil, the earth, whatever it is. So the foundation has to be very, very sound, very, very strong enough. Now, when we say strong enough, how we are supposed to check it out? See, what happens in case if we are erecting, we are knowing, yes, what is the height of the building we are going to construct. So accordingly, we have to use the foundation as per that. It has to be strong enough, because we'll be raising the scaffold to that particular height. And when we are raising the scaffold to that particular height, the scaffold, we cannot keep on changing every now and then, because once it has been erected, it has to be full and final, right from the starting. Okay. Whenever you are using, we need to use it in a proper way. The erection of the scaffold is of a different type. We'll check it out over there. Suppose in case there are times when we have to use some dismantling or alteration has to be done, that will be done. And every particular period, there is a specific period or daily, there has to be an inspection by the safety person or the authorized person. And maintenance has to be there, because if you are not doing the maintenance, there are chances that scaffold are likely to collapse. Okay. So when we say about a scaffold, it has to be designed for 4 times maximum the intended load. What do you mean by 4 times? Suppose in case, as I told you, 3M. 3M, if it is there, so man, material, and machineries, if the total weight of that particular 3M is around 100 kgs, I'm just giving an example, 100 kgs, so the scaffold should be designed for 400 kgs. That is a 4 time. Because the reason being, so there are chances that there may be some shock absorption, etc. There may be some rough usage also will be there. So This scaffold, what I'm talking to you, this is erected on the soil, on the ground floor, ground level. It is not a suspended. Okay. Suppose if it is a suspended scaffold normally it is a suspended from the end of the top of the building. Normally it is a finished buildings only. In that case, the suspended scaffold, the ropes it is on which they are suspended, each rope should have a maximum intended load of 6 times. Suppose if it is again around, if you are using 100 kgs on the platform, suspended platform, the rope should be of 6 times, because the life of an individual who is working over there, it is hanging in between. So the strength of that particular rope should be 6 times the intended load. Okay, and the guardrail is very much important. The guardrail should have a impact, should be able to withstand an impact of 200 pounds, especially top rail. There are 3 rails normally given in the guardrail system. Guardrail means we all have seen this guardrail. It's not only with the construction part or scaffolding. See, whenever we are having any railings, etc., or any flooring, etc., where a person is likely to fall down, we provide railings, and that is nothing but it is known as a guardrail. Means what it is doing, it's guarding your fall. It is protecting your fall. That's why it is known as a guardrail. So we have a top, middle, and bottom toe rail. But at same time, you can see in the figure, it is given as a toe board. The toe board reason is that in case if anything is lying on the floor, it should not, with the help while walking around, etc., or through rolling out, it should not fall on somebody's head at the bottom. That's why we put up a toe board. Normally it is starting from 4 inches to 6 inches, or it may be more also, it depends. Okay, so sound design, it has to be there. Normally the weight, the structure of the scaffold what we have is this is known as your design load. For a light duty, it is up to 150 kg per centimeter square, in case if that much weight is coming down over there. If it is a medium duty, it is 200 kg per centimeter square, and it's a heavy duty 250 kgs per meter square. So if it is of a meter square in particular area, if that much weight is given, so there are different types of scaffolds which we have to design according to the requirement. But normally what it is being done, it is done with a heavy duty only, because light and medium duty also can take care of that. So when we say about the guardrail, that's a fall protection. It has to be in case if a person is working 10 feet and above the ground floor, a guardrail is to be provided. And there are some specification changes are there. Earlier it was 36 inches, but nowadays it has gone up to 38 to 45 inches. That depends how much height you require, but minimum is 38 inches. That is approximately 3 feet 2 inches. Okay, and whenever there is a guardrail, when you are removing the guardrail, or if you are working without the guardrail, you need to wear a full body harness with a grab rope, etc. Independent vertical lifeline has to be there. Lifeline is the line, the metal rope stretched between top and the bottom floor. With the metal rope, wire rope is normally between 10 to 12 mm thickness, and it should be able to take a weight of 5,000 pounds. That should be the strength of that particular wire rope. Okay, and whenever we are fixing up a scaffold, we have these foundations. This foundation, normally we use this as a sole plate. Okay, so base plate also you can say we are using the top one. This is these 3 are different types of base plates. These base plates are made up of 6 mm thickness of a metal MS with this fixed one. It is the height of the center part spigot is around 3 inches or 75 mm. Adjustable, it is up to 1 feet. And the swivel type at the right side, it is of angle. Suppose in case if you are supposed to fix the pole at an angle, we need to use those things. So normally the sole plates are of these types, and it has to be at the center of sole plate. Is normally this particular sole plate, this wooden, this is made up of timber or wood. Minimum thickness is of about 28 to 32 inches, depending on the weight, how much it is coming down on that. And the base plate is fixed in the center of that. But nowadays, what it has been observed throughout the construction period, this is meant for a tube and coupler scaffolds. But nowadays, we are not using this because in such cases, we have different types of materials, almost 10 to 12 types of materials we are supposed to use. And there are chances that a lot of material get misplaced, especially in the construction site. So we use different type, that is a couple of type of scaffolds we are using, that I will show you in later stage. So these are the basic things what it has started, and all are made up of a mild steel. If you are using a tube and coupler scaffolds, or even if you are going with the fabricated type, the tube and coupler scaffold, the tube it is of this one, steel tube and aluminum tube, the thickness, normally it is 48.3 or 4 mm. So normally we normally it is called it as a 2 inches round figure. Nobody will go with this particular specimen. Technically, it is okay, fine. The thickness has to be around 4 mm. 4 and aluminum, it is 4.47 mm. Okay. And the inner diameters are of 40 mm, because on this, the scaffold tube will come. On this 40 mm, the reason being, here, when we say this particular base plate, you can see here at the bottom specification, this is a 38 mm dia. So if this is 38 mm dia, here the 40 mm dia in ID will be there. So it will be easy to fix it over there. And it can be, here you can see it has been a small hole is given so that we can fix it over there. You can, so that it should not move. Okay. These are the scaffold tubes what we are using normally. Then these are different standard posts. What are the standard posts? Here in the figure you can see the vertical tubing, they are known as standard or post. See, the post and standard, why it is mentioned, it is as per the US or BS standard. US standard and BS standard. Sometimes it is known as a standard and sometimes it is known as a post. And horizontal member, they are of two types. Horizontal member, it is one is a ledger which is going in the lengthy wise, okay, and the transverse type, what it is going over here, this transverse, this is known as a transom or bearer. Horizontal, the ledger, what it is given, it is also known as a ledger or runner, and transom is also known as a transom or bearer. These are the transoms are those things which take the load of the plank on this particular. These are the base plates. Okay, here I'll just tell you what it is. The standard of post, they have to meet 3 conditions. And these 3 conditions are, they have to be in plumb. Plumb means it has to be exactly at 90 degrees in a vertical tube, 90 degrees, so that from all the sides, it is have to be straight. Second one, it has to be in alignment. Alignment means it has to be in one single line. It should not be on left or right side. If I stand at one place, I should be able to see only one standard, and it should be at a level. Normally the level is being done on the top, and the bottom area, normally we use, in case if you are using a tube and coupler scaffold, we normally use adjustable base plate, so that because depending on the ground structure, there may be some variations, ups and downs might be there, so it can be adjusted. So the top area should be in level, because it has, if it is not in level, then the scaffold will not be in a proper condition. Okay, and the ledger should be from one end to full end. Apart from these ledgers, this one, we have one more thing. Here we have a crossbars. It is not given here. A crossbars, it is normally known as a bracing. Bracing is given because to have a tightness of that particular scaffold, to have a grip, to brace up the grip so that it should not swing left and right. And this bracing is there and the transverse side as well as the lengthy side. So the scaffold, they are of 2 types, so freestanding and independent. Freestanding also, independent also, and some scaffolds are attached to the building. Especially in the construction, we have a scaffold which are connected to the buildings. They are known as ties. it is connected or fixed with the building. They are known as a ties so that the scaffold does not move. And the couplers what we use is normally, sorry, these are the couplers what we normally use whenever we are using the scaffold. First one, it is a right angle coupler. They are also known as a standard or right angle. And the second one is a swell coupler. Normally we use it for the angle bracing, etc. And this is a putlock coupler, which we use to connect the only the tubes. Okay. These are three types, and normally we have a guardrail system. We have to use a guardrail so that the individual does not fall. So anything wherever it is there, normally the height of the two platform or two planks, or the two here, as we say, two height between one platform to another platform. The height is normally it is made up of up to a height of 6.5 feet, 6.5 feet. 6.5 feet means one individual can move around normally, and that particular part is known as a lift. There are different aspects over there which we use normally technically. Okay, and when we use the scaffold tubes, these scaffold tubes are of a different, these defects which we normally find in construction part. There may be a corrosion, there may be a rusted tubes, bent tubes, split tubes, sharp edge tubes. Normally what happens when we take it out scaffold tube, we throw it from the top, and when it falls on any hard surface, these tubes get damaged, and we are not supposed to use any damaged tubes because it will not give you the correct plumbness. Plumb means straight, it will not be there. In case if it is not straight, we cannot go it to the end. Okay, as I told you, the ties, these are different types of ties what we use, box tie, through tie. These ties are directly, the scaffold is connected to the main structure. The reason for correcting this is the scaffold should not fall down, especially to resist the inward and outward movement of the scaffold. Apart from that, this resistance is required because of the high wind direction, or in case whenever you are moving on the top, there may be a movement and there are chances that the scaffold may break off or fall down. So to avoid this such things, it is firmly fixed with the main structure. Okay, and these ties keep on increasing as the building keep on increasing. As the height of the building keeps on increasing, these ties also are fixed from right from the bottom to the top. It is fixed vertically as well as horizontally. The minimum height is of each tie is between the spacing is of 6 meters. Okay, that is a 20 feet up to. Okay, in the both direction. And braces, as I told you, bracing is at an angle we fix it up with the bracing. Normally there are two types, face bracing and ledger bracing. It is normally in the front side of the scaffold we fix it up so that our scaffold should not sway. Sway means move around. Okay, and when we say about the scaffold boards, normally earlier, nowadays we are not using maximum this one. Earlier we used to use this wooden planks, etc., because it's having a lot of problem. Wooden plank due to wind, due to rain, etc., they get damaged. There will be holes and all. Nowadays, normally what is used is the aluminum planks, metal planks, which is used with the in between holes, etc., which are anti-skid also. So such type of planks normally we are using nowadays. Okay. These are the couplers I've told you. Whenever you are using a scaffold, we need to have this tagging. This tagging is applicable only the red tag and green tag. And one more tag what we use is a yellow tag. Okay, red tag is used until whenever the scaffold is not ready for use. Until unless the concerned person inspects everything and he finds that yes, everything is okay, then only the red tag, till then the red tag is used. Then when regarding this green tag, when everything is fine, in that case we use a green tag so that persons can be used. the working person can use it. So it means that it will be mentioned on that safe for to be used. And normally the yellow tag what we use is in case of any minor repair, etc., is supposed to be done. So in that case, that particular area is barricaded and the yellow tag is put not to be used, temporarily out of use. So this is a flow chart normally what we use when we are using the when we have to do a scaffolding, etc. Okay, one is the request, then etc. And I'll not go into much detail because this varies from a different companies. Okay, sometimes main contractor might be there, may not be there. Directly, it can be informed. Okay, the individual, the company itself might be having their own scaffolding team, etc. So these are the different aspects over here. So whenever we are doing this one, scaffolding, we need to check out with the our few things we are supposed to check it out. One is a risk assessment. Whenever we are working on that, what are the risk assessments we are supposed to check? See, especially normally the case is depending on the area, we have this electrical minimum clearance has to be there. These are the minimum requirement what we need to have, the minimum distance from the point of contact of the scaffold. Okay, so minimum is a 4 meters distance has to be there. Okay, so this is very, very important because the persons who are working on or around the scaffold should not get electrocuted, because sometimes what happens, the lifting of poles, etc., lifting of equipments, material equipments, and sometimes we are using with the help of a crane also, or sometimes the material is being lifted to the top of the building with the help of tower crane also. Okay, so the electrical distance, the minimum distance, this has to be. Suppose in case if it is not practically possible, then there is another alternative, that by taking a proper permission and by involving the electrical line persons, main KV persons, etc., electrical persons, what they have to do, you have to install normally what we do near our homes in case of the power line is near to our house or near to our staircase, etc. We use a PVC tubes, we put it on that. So same thing can be done over here till the condition or till the work is being completed to safeguard our people and our conditions. Okay. So these are the tube and coupler scaffolds what we normally see. This height you can see the construction angle at which is there. These are the normally the known as a bracing. And here you can see this particular part here at the back, it is connected to the structure. This is particularly a tie. Tie means connecting to the structure, which is used at a particular height so that the scaffold should not fall down. Apart from that, here, see, in case here we don't have one thing, and that is a ladder. Here it is there. The ladder has to be installed over there, either to the left or to right, depending on the type of the scaffold. It varies whether sometimes the scaffold, it is inside the scaffold on the platform, it might be there, or sometimes if it is not there, the individual can come down from the construction side, main structure side, and they can come and work on the scaffold. And in scaffold, there are varieties that we'll have a detail later on. Okay. Now this is of a this particular frame. You can see here it is of a fabricated type. Here we will be using this fabricated type. It is a completely ready-made scaffold. We don't have any fixed. We have around 6 feet platform, etc. on that, and we can directly get into that. Okay, 6 feet platform we are having, and it is readily available. We have to just bring it and fix it up. Okay, there we are having of different type. That is a joint type also is there, latching type also is there, pin type also is there. Okay, it depends on the manufacturer. And here it is already connected with the ladder, etc. Apart from that, in case where the scaffolding is not possible, see, normally when the building is fully erected or constructed, in that case, there are at times when the scaffold erection is not practically possible, maybe due to the financial factor, maybe due to the other reasons, the time factor, or maybe due to the space factor. In such cases, we normally use this mobile elevated work platform. These are the normally which is used. We use mobile elevated work platform to carry out our work. That may be for inspection or minor repairs, etc. At the same time, we have the other mobile scaffold. This also we can utilize for, but the condition for these both things, the land level, etc., the height, the working factor, everything has to be in a proper way, and the persons have to be trained properly. Okay. Then suspension scaffold, when we see this one, there are, as I told you earlier, that the ropes should be of a, how much? It should be of a minimum requirement, that is a 6 times the capacity of the intended load. See, this is normally it is connected from the top to the bottom. Here in the figure you can see the persons are working. Here we are having actually two motors over here which are synchronized, and this can be used only vertically. When we are using this one, here what happens, it is being used from, normally this is kept at the ground floor, but whenever it is required, it can be raised from a ground floor to top level. Okay, this is only for the vertical movement, not horizontal movement. And these both the motors are synchronized, and we have a control panel over there, and as per the requirement we can utilize it. But whereas the connection of this, the weight factor, counterweight, it is kept on the top of the building. From here you can see in the figures, these are connected with the top of the building. From there it is left out. Even before using, we have to do the inspection, etc. Normally these are kept in the normally high-rise buildings, etc. So which is kept permanently, because we cannot say when the work is required. At some places, in some cities, etc., they keep it permanently at the side, but some places they just remove it. This, when it is possible, whenever there is a small work, etc., or some repair work is going on there. Here, right side, you can see in the right side bottom corner. Here you can see that a single person is there. In suppose in case if the this one, what do you say, that a scaffold is kept in between, we have one more this single type of scaffold which is known as a boatswain chair. What is this boatswain chair? This for simple understanding. See, in our home, in case if you are having a child and we want to put him up in some swing type and all, we have a single bucket type of chair which we can hang it out, and which we have a front, we'll be having a bar or a bar type where the child need not to fall down. We have with the four this one, or with the single also, single cradle type we have. So same time, that is a boatswain chair what we have for the one single individual to go to the in between the suspended scaffold so that he can go and work over there. Sometimes if the work is load is heavy, here right side top corner you can see there are two platforms over there. The distance, the difference between the two platforms is approximately around 6.5 to 7 feet, so that an individual can move around comfortably. Here also the weight factor is, we have to check it out, as well as the load factor. Okay, what machinery and all we have to check, and the type of work also is very, very important. Counterweights must have to be used depending on the type of weight factor. See, this depends. You can see here, even when we are using, this is just like our suspension scaffold, which is just like our lifts, what we use in buildings. There also we can see that it's also lift. It is having a counterweight, etc., at the backside of that particular cage or lift. And there also it is mentioned that yes, you can use either particular weight or particular persons. Normally in lifts we check it out with normally 68 kgs or something per individual as on an average. Okay. So this is how the suspension scaffold or suspension cage is utilized. Okay. So just to be firm, these are the normally things what we have to check it out. The foundation should be solid. Guardrail has to be there. It has to be plumb, level, and square. Okay. Bracing has to be done. Platform has to be safe. But whenever we are climbing and getting down, the safe access, the center part where the individual is going up on top of the, here we need to check it out one thing. And the one safe factor, the thumb rule for this is a 3-point contact program. Whenever you are climbing any ladder, it has to be a 3-point contact program. That is a 2 hand, 1 leg, or 2 legs and 1 hand. And the individual has to face towards the ladder, not opposite to the ladder. This we have to check it out. This is the safest method. Because if we face opposite to ladder, then we'll not be having a proper grip of our sole, that is our feet, onto the ladder rings or steps. And there are chances that we are likely to slip off. The best method is to, because when we are facing the ladder, it so happens that our full foot will be there on the particular step. Okay. Then fully planked, the decks should be fully planked. No gap should be there. The overlapping should be in a proper way. But normally what we use nowadays is a manufactured decks or platforms of metals what we are using. And whenever we are keeping a load on the top of the scaffold, it has to be evenly distributed, either evenly distributed or at the point wherever there is a scaffold standard, we have to keep, because there will be a support at bed. But in case if you are using the load in this way, there are chances that a scaffold plank may likely to get wobbling. There may be there. The next part what I was telling you regarding the coupler scaffold. This is the coupler scaffold. Normally, this is being used at the maximum places. Material is less, solid material we are using, no spare parts maximum, very little, very or negligible spare parts. Okay, so we can use this and whatever height and whatever space we want, we can use it. This is very easy to be used and very strong. And apart from that, it can be easily erected as well as it can be easily dismantled also. The erection and the dismantling is very, very fast. And the height part, no issue. And it is normally, it is 1 square meter what we use it. The distances of between two ledgers. Because it is in square, you can call it as a ledger also, you can call it as a transom also. It is very easily used. Normally, maximum places we are using. But condition, sometimes what happens, this is exactly in the square. But construction building may not be in a square. There may be some changes. Some odd shapes might be there in the building. So in such places, normally tube and coupler scaffolds are used. When we are using tube and coupler scaffold, the plank is normally cut according to the requirement and used. It is used because sometimes it is practically possible, or the edge may be a very small, or it might be in a triangle, or it may be odd shape might be there. So wherever there is an odd shape, etc., we use normally tube and coupler scaffold, and the planking will be of a wooden planking. Cut the wood and fix it up. Okay. Now, last one, what we'll be seeing is the working at a height. Okay. Now, working at a height, why we normally every places we are working at height. Any place when it is known as a working at height. So any person who is working at a height of 6 feet and above, see minimum is 6 feet and above, that is known as a working at height. And it's not necessary that working at a height has to be only in the place of work, only in the industry, or only in our construction areas. These are even in our household works. Suppose if I have to clean my fan, ceiling fan nowadays, okay, if I have to change my bulb, what I do normally, I climb on a chair and I try to fix it up. If I have a step ladder, then I take a step ladder, I try to climb it up. Or sometimes I keep my chair onto a table and try to climb it. But the injury, what it is likely to happen for these silly things, we call it silly only with respect to safety aspect. Okay, so for simple reason, there may be such an accident where it may be a fatal accident also, or it can be a injury which may be a lifelong also. I've seen a person who was working at a step ladder. Actually, when working with the ladders, we have certain rules and regulations, especially with the step ladder. We are not supposed to climb till the last platform. But unfortunately, the person who was working with the step ladder, he had to change some bulb and onto the ceiling. See, ceiling, what happened normally in commercial establishment, we have a POP. In POP, we have a concealed fitting. So the person who, fortunately, his supervisor was standing over there, the individual, the electrician, the worker, he got onto the top. He could not reach because of his height. So he climbed to the end platform, last. And when he was removing that, see, concealed fitting, they have a brackets to the side. When he was removing it, it was not coming out because it's a lot, many days had passed. So when he was removing, he had to struggle a bit. And in that course, he missed his step. He just came one step back and he missed his balance. And his bad luck, a chair was kept, metal chair was kept to the side of that step ladder, and he has fallen with his back on the metal chair back. And bad luck, his really bad luck, his spinal cord broken because he has fallen with his back. Okay, spinal cord broken, and he was on the spot. He was dead. See, simple things when we say simple things, but sometimes what happens, such things will happen. So same thing, that fatal accident. When we see, अरे इतने से गिर के ही हो गए, hardly around 5 feet height. So but this happened. What happened? You know, the weight of the body when it falls from the top, the weight increases, the speed increases, and the impact takes the lead over here. In such cases, maximum injuries are fatal injuries. So we need to check it out in such cases. Though it is, when we see it, is very simple. We'll tell, "Arey yaar, itne ke liye tere ko ye chahiye, wo chahiye." But in case if something happens, it will be very, very hazardous. So whenever we are having, here we'll be talking about especially say industries, we'll check it out, and as well as construction also, working at height are there. Okay, construction is something different and industries is different. Here we'll check it out with especially in the industries. See what happened, all the industries are open. They are at a height, they use your fragile roofs. That is normally we call it as a cement roofing, or actually it is asbestos roofing. Cement sheets what we use. It's normally it's known as asbestos. So every year we need to check it out, especially before the rainy season. Nowadays it's rainy season is going on over there. So why it is that? See, if industry is there, our ancestors are there in some areas. That is the monkeys. They come down, they struggle on, they fight everything, and at the same time the sheets get cracked, which is not visible during a normal course of period. But after first or second rain, all the dirt, dust above the sheet gets cleaned off, and from bottom we'll start seeing that yes, there is we'll find some minor line is there, and we are able to see the sky. So in such case, we need to replace it, and in that case, we need to go on the top of that sheet, and that height is approximately not less than 30 to 40 feet, depending on the industry. Minimum is 20 feet at the center, and with the slope, what slope it is there, it depends. So replacing those tiles and all those sheets, it is a. So in such case, what will happen? The person who is working on the top likely to fall down, because if it's a height is there, the wind factor, the individual will not be able to work properly. He has to carry the sheets, etc. He has to sit and work over there, and sometimes the factor over there, in case if we are putting new sheet, we have to put a J-bolt, we have to put a tar, liquid tar to cover it up. So many things come up over there. So in such case, the control, we have to control the work hazard over here. Okay, whatever the buildings are there, whatever the work we are going to. So here we need to check out a few material, a few things. Normal, your work plan, as I have informed over here, safe access to the roof area. See, earlier I had shown you working at height, there's a scaffold that is a mobile elevated work platform, we can use it, or we can use a crane also. Not only we don't use a crane, if in case we are using a crane, we have to use a cage for that, or a moving elevated work platform. If we are using, the cages itself is there. Assessment of the roofing material, we have to do it being inside the cage. Okay, we have to check it out, and then if the roof is brittle, see, this brittleness depends on the what is the age factor of that particular roofing material. Age factor means how many years have passed. Because if many years have passed, it's happened that it becomes very brittle. On the application of little force also, it will crack. And you are at a height, even in case if you control yourself to fall, but if there is a crack, you are likely to get injured because of the sharp edges which will come in contact with your feet or a thigh or your calf. Okay. Apart from that, the wind condition. What is the wind? And in case if there is a dusty area over there, because of the climatic condition, rain, etc., there may be a fungus formed on the top of that particular roofing, and that becomes a very slippery. Okay. These are the things what we need to check it out, and before going into that work, we need to follow these things. There has to be a safe access. Normally for a ready-made roofing, this type of a crawl board or safety nets or roofing ladder, we need to use it. This is for the ready-made roofing where it comes to the repair, etc. We have to use this. Roofing ladder also we can use. Okay, boardwalk we can use, so that a person can sit comfortably and do the work. Because especially the construction, the height, here it becomes a problem. But when we go with the construction part, here you can see we need to use a scaffold, and the edge protection is very much important. The edge protection should be used for the edge at the side, but for that also you need to have a scaffold. Okay, so these are the things what we need to check it out when we are working with the roof. When we are using, apart from that, we have one more thing over here. This is a safety nets. Safety net, we can use it. Normally in construction sites, we use safety nets. This also can be utilized, but safety nets is when a person falls down. But what we have supposed to do is this point here you can see, we have to stop the fall first and foremost. Why we have to stop the fall? We have to use so that the person should not fall down. When a person falls down, then only we have the safety nets, etc. When a person falls down, we have a fall arrest system. We have a catch platform. Only to the main purpose for this is that we have to stop the fall. And to stop the fall, okay, we use this thing. That is the ABC of falling, or the fall arrest system. Okay. This is what we use normally for a person. And to avoid a fall from the top, we have to use the guardrail system. Even if you use a guardrail system, we need to use some restraint, that is a fall protection or your safety harness. Full body harness is supposed to be used so that we can control the movement of the particular individual. So for having to protect a fall protection, normally what we say, as you can wear a fall protection or full body harness. See, earlier it was there full, only the safety harness we can use it. But we are not using safety harness nowadays. We are using full body harness. And this is the full body harness what we have. That is the ABC of full body harness. I'll tell you what it is, why it is important. Okay. Body belts or safety belts were used before 98, but nowadays we are not using. We are not supposed to use. We are supposed to use the full body harness. Okay. For any person who is working at a height of 6 feet and above. Okay. This is what happens. See, when a person falls from the top, where we are supposed to fix it up, that is very, very important. Okay. Normally, what I've seen in the construction, they wear the safety harness, they wear and they tie that lanyard or the rope surrounding their body, and they'll keep on working. Because somebody will come for inspection, whether to see whether the person has a full body harness or not. They'll not check whether it is fit for use or etc. etc. But yes, he is wearing. Okay, fine. Sometimes we need to check it out where it has to be fixed also. The anchorage point, that is the ABC of that, what I will show you. So here, fall arrest system, the maximum force of an employee to 1800 pounds when used with the body harness. He should be able to withstand. Now see here, what happens if a body falls from a height of 6 feet, the pressure applied on that particular person or that body is 5,000 pounds. And if 5,000 pounds is applied onto the body, what will be the condition of the body? So to restrict that movement, to restrict that 5,000 pounds movement, we are using a full body harness with a shock absorber. Okay, shock absorber. See here in the figure, you can see it has been given here, deceleration distance 3.5 feet. And the harness is to be fixed above shoulder level. Above shoulder level, not at the bottom, not at the center. It has to be fixed above the shoulder level. Here you can see it has been fixed at the above shoulder level. So in case if he fall down, this is a 3.5 feet deceleration. Length of the body is approximately it's within 5 feet, and system elongation, that is the system elongation means the what is a shock absorber, that is of about 2 feet. The body will not touch the ground. It should be at least minimum 2 feet from the ground level. That is what required over here. So here, when we say about ABC of the fall protection, this is anchorage, body harness, and connecting device. Anchorage should be of such a nature, it should be strong enough and fixed to the structure where it will be able to take a load or pressure of 5,000 pounds. That is what we require. And there are different types of anchorages depending on the construction part, body, or where we can fix it up. Okay. And here you can see at the right side of the figure, the anchorage is given above the shoulder level, that is above the head. This has to be there. And this is a full body harness. This is a D-ring where it is to be fixed. And this particular part, this you can see I am showing with the arrow, that is a yellow portion. This is a deaccelerating device, or you can say it is a shock absorber. Why the shock absorber is required? See, when a body falls, if shock absorber is not there, full pressure is applied onto the thighs and to the shoulders. There may be a jerk, there may be a dislocation of those particular points. Okay, that is the anchorage point. B is a body harness. It has to be of this type. Body harness has to be fixed in a proper way. Okay, when you are fixing up this one main thing what we are supposed to see. Okay, these safety harness has to be inspected properly. Why it has to be inspected? There should not be any damage or any breakage of the stitchings, etc. The carabiners or the connecting device here in the bottom, what it is that this has to work in a comfortable zone, and it has to have a double locking system. It has to have a double locking system. Single locking is not permitted. Okay, and when the individual is wearing that, so individual once you are wearing, there is a proper method of wearing it. See here we see when we are using proper adjustment is the key factor over here. Whenever you are using, you have to put these fingers in between so that it is comfortable. And one more thing you can see in this, there is nowhere the this one. Earlier it was there, like our buckle, belt, waist belt, there used to be holes in between this one to fix it up. Nowadays, it is not there. It is adjustable. It is adjustable. The reason being there are different types of bodies. The size of the bodies are different, so that it can be adjusted according to the size of the body and it can be fixed up. If the buckle holes are there, then there are chances there either it will be tight or it will be loose. Both the things are not permitted. Now here when we see, when we have this one, that we have to use some fingers in between. We have to put it so it should be comfortable. The reason being for being comfortable, if it is too tight, what will happen? The blood flow from the thighs to the heart gets disrupted. Blood flow from thighs to the heart gets disrupted in case if you are having a tight over here. If it is loose, then another problem comes up. What happens? See, suppose in this figure, right side figure I have shown you, this particular figure, if this is loose, in case if the individual falls down, what will happen? This will just pull up because of the D-ring at the back. Here it is given that D-ring. Because of this, if the pressure is pulled up, so the belt at this safety harness at this thighs, it will pull up and this particular part of the individual gets damaged, which may be a life-threatening. So we have to be very careful whenever we are using this particular safety harness. Using a safety harness is not a big thing, but using it properly is a big thing. Okay, because it may save the life also, or it may be fatal also in case if it is not being used. This is very, very important. So this particular flow, these four fingers we can put and we can have it checked it out. Okay, it should not be loose. Then the main method or how to approach main thing is that that is a fault protection. Number one, we should try to eliminate it. That is the best method when we have with respect to safety aspect. We need to try to eliminate. It can be adjustment in the design or engineering stage, etc. Second one is prevention. That is by barriers, travel restrictions, or by guardrails. A person should not fall. But in case if a person has to fall, or in case if he falls, we need to use this ABC, full body harness. Okay. With this, this is the restraint line. See, suppose in case if an individual is working on top, this is the, normally the safety harness, the lanyard is around 5 feet 6 inches. The scaffold platform is around 6 feet. That is around 6 feet 6 inches before the this one edge. It will be there. This is the restraint line, and this is connected to the top to bottom line. Okay, that is known as the lifeline, which will be having a which is fixed to the structure normally. Okay, so apart from that, now this is the last point what we will be having. Suppose in case if you are having that one, the individual will fall down and it will be on the net, safety net. Now nowadays what is happening? Safety nets are of two types. The gap in between, it is one is of a 1.5 1 to 1.5 inch gap it is there. 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch gap is there, the square gap, and one is of a 4-inch gap. 4-inch gap is normally used for the human being in case if he falls. But in case if any debris or any small materials fall, it will go through the 4-inch gap. So that's why commonly net which is used is a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch. That is what we are using it. Okay, so this is the thing what we have to use safety net, and it has to be inspected every week, and the fixing procedure is quite different. Now when we say how it has to be fixed, the small here I have given you in this, see vertical distance, if it is up to 5 feet, the horizontal distance should be at 8 feet. Vertical distance is up to 10 feet. The horizontal distance can be up to 10 feet, 5 to 10 feet. If the vertical distance is more than 10 feet, the horizontal distance should be 13 feet. Means it has to go at that angle up to 13 feet from the reason being, whatever falls, it will not fall straight, it will fall at an angle. So it has to be checked every week and all the border rows. And when that is normal condition inspection. But in case if somebody has fallen on that, and in case if some person has fallen or some material has fallen, that we have to check it out and we have to inspect whether the net is fixed or comfortable, or whether the net is fit for using. In case even if one net thread is broken, that has to be replaced. Repair is not permitted. It has to be replaced because net is woven in such a way that in case if even a single thread or single net is cut, single thread is cut, it will keep on opening. So we have to remove it off and replace it with a better one. Okay. So anything in case if you want to ask, I think some I have seen some questions over here. Just check it out. Okay.
Yes, sir. There are many questions about 15 questions are there, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. So first question is why we are referring just a minute.
Yeah.
Who issue the driving license to forklift operator?
Pardon, sir?
Who issue the driving license to
RTO. Yeah, RTO.
Yeah.
He should be 18 years and above, and he should have a driving license, because without driving license, it's not the individual, the company itself will not permit him to drive inside the, because they'll not permit the vehicle also. Even the vehicle has to be with the 100% confirmed conditions.
Somebody is asking difference between SWL and WLL.
WLL, yeah. See, I told you just with a simple example, I told you, safe working load. Safe working load is with the manufacturer. He will give you, the manufacturer will give the safe working load. Yes, this is the load what you can use it. But depending on the site conditions, the in charge of that particular site condition, the in charge maybe safety engineer, or maybe the competent engineer or their competent person. If there is a rain, etc., if the soil is soft, there may be a disturbed soil, especially in excavated areas and all, will not be able to use that particular weightage, that same working load, which has been given by the individual manufacturer. So in that case, that person, this competent person will decide, yes, we'll not be using 100 kgs, or for example, it is of 10 tons capacity, safe working load, we'll not be using 10 tons, we'll be using 5 tons. So that becomes a working load limit. See, the word itself indicates that working load. What should be the working load at that particular site as per the site condition, not as per the manufacturer's condition. Manufacturers will give you the safe working load as per the standard condition where it individual or the equipment is being used on a solid surface. But at site conditions, especially in construction sites, in the starting or when the construction is in progress, the soil condition is very bad. All sluggishness is there, especially in rainy season, or else there is a lot of excavation. The soil will be again refilled over there. So depending on the site condition, the working load limit, that is decided by the individual competent person or the site in charge over there. I hope I'm clear.
Yes, sir. Next question is how we use load chart for crane. Please explain in brief. How we use load chart for crane.
For cranes, is a load chart. Normally, what happens? We have a chart itself in the crane. Earlier, it was of an analog nature. Nowadays, we are having a digital nature.